All right, so we're back. In today's video, I can't believe that DAZN sat Tommy Fury down and asked him to rank influencer boxer. I'm not sure exactly what they thought would come out of this, but Tommy has decided to rank his influencer boxers, and we're gonna go through and break down his tier list. If I know anything about Tommy Fury, he could give two about this scene. We've shoehorned him in. Jake and KSI wheelbarreled him the money, and now he's laughing all the way to the bank. But maybe I agree with some of these, maybe I don't. Regardless, we're gonna break this thing down. And speaking of DAZN and Misfits, Tommy's fighting on the Prime card, but do not forget, I'm going to be live this Saturday for Misfits 009 from Newcastle, but I'm gonna be live from the setup here, 10 a.m. my time local. We're gonna get in nice and early, break down some of the fights. We're gonna go through the entire card. Predictions are coming out on the breakdown as well. My second channel, if you guys aren't subscribed, go over there. But let's get into this thing. What happened when Tommy Fury was asked to rank influencer boxers, and why specifically does he say KSI should retire? The breakdown, let's go.
Hi, my name's Tommy Fury, and I'm here to give you my tier list, but watch me destroy KSI on October 14th. Don't miss it. Live on DAZN pay-per-view.
Super! That is those Love Island reality shows that are not scripted but completely fucking are. You gotta do those talking heads into the camera. Tommy is now house trained. We saw how he does in the verbal back and forth with KSI, and this has to be said, Tommy does have a lot of the makings to be a superstar in the sport of boxing, except, well, the high-level boxing. Guys, let me pause the video for just a second to tell you all about the sponsor of today's video, MyBookie. That's right, mybookie.ag is the spot to be for all of your sports betting needs, and we are in the midst of college football, NFL football. We have fights going on every weekend, including the Prime card, which you guys can bet on using code WADE at MyBookie for up to $1,000 in deposit match bonuses. It's simple. You sign up for a free account at MyBookie. When you make that first deposit, you're gonna get up to, again, $1,000 in deposit match bonuses when you use my code, and you do not wanna miss out, especially on the Prime card. But if you're a football fan here in the US, every week an upset is happening. Lines are being thrown up because on any given Saturday or Sunday, your team can win, but you may win even bigger when you use code WADE at MyBookie. Once again, guys, you have to be of legal age to use MyBookie, and I want to encourage you all to please gamble responsibly. But like I said, sign up, code WADE at mybookie.ag. Thank you to MyBookie for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back into fighting Tommy Fury's tier list. Super Salt Poppy is first, huh?
Salt Poppy has some of the best.
This knockout, this fight should have never happened, by the way. Salt versus Andy Worski was fucking insane. Like, let's take it all the way back to Misfits #1. And by the way, let's just take a look at Salt Poppy here, dude. You see Salt Poppy? I just want to show you guys something really quickly. This is him, I think, at Showstar. And look at this dude. Who the is that? I will have his children. Got a little carried away, but still, this is what's called dedication. This is time into the sport. This is effort. This is working on yourself. This is becoming someone you always wanted to be. Shout out to fucking Salt Poppy.
If we're talking in the YouTubing world, he's average. But in the professional world, most likely retire.
Tommy's not going to acknowledge anyone. He's going to say everyone should retire based on a pro ranking. But even for the YouTube ranking, Tommy says Poppy is average, which I disagree with. There's a lot of guys, if you wanted to take a YouTube influencer look, that would line up in that average category, but Salt Poppy's not one of them. He's super talented for our scene. And speaking of Salt Poppy, we know he's supposed to be on the Prime card. I saw a post that came out today that I don't even know that people are taking a deep enough look into. For some reason, Slim is in Newcastle for Misfits #9, and why in the world would a guy like Slim just up and decide to go to Newcastle on a Misfits show when he supposedly was not with the company anymore? Couldn't be to set up a fight, could it? Pretty boy.
Get over aggressive with Salt Poppy.
Poppy took some shots in this fight, man. Just ate him too.
Anthony Taylor, retire. I just think he's a laughing stock now. I think everybody who fights him, it's just kind of, you know, you're in for a laugh. I feel like when I fought him, before any of this sort of stuff, it was like he come for a fight. But then now I just feel like he's just doing it for a payday. So what's the point?
All right, so Tommy's logic here is fucking hilarious because he clearly tries to big up his win versus Anthony Taylor. And while Anthony Taylor's fighting influencers and having somewhat close fights with influencers that Tommy just called average, like Salt Poppy, he's not doing it for real now. He just wants a bag. Yeah, all right. Listen, Anthony Taylor is obviously one of the guys in our scene that's been called a gatekeeper or someone that is kind of that level barometer to say if you beat him, then you belong with the KSI, the Jake Paul, the Logan Paul level, because that's probably where Anthony Taylor is as far as his fighting ability. If we're taking a look at the list that Tommy has here, one is GOAT, decent, average, poor, retire. Who made these tiers? You're either a GOAT or you're decent. Maybe decent is like a better way of saying good. But if we're looking at this list, Anthony Taylor does need to be in the decent category. Like, because you can't put him under Salt Poppy, who he beat. But I guess Tommy is looking at him as a pro, and then Tommy said as Salt as a pro would be in the retire category as well. So 2 for retire. Swarms, okay. Why are we asking Tommy Fury about Swarms? Swarms is my guy, though, so be careful, Tommy.
A little disdain from Swarms. He wanted more of Nick.
I'm gonna have to say retire. I don't know why he came over to boxing. He was doing well with the rapping stuff. I'd have stuck to that. So, sorry, Swarms, nothing against you, but it's just talking boxing here.
Essentially 3 people in the retire category. I don't think Swarms should retire. Again, if we're talking about the places that DAZN has here, like I hate using the word poor because again, our guys, they're all not going to be great technically, but I still think he has some things to offer in this scene. Let's not forget there's many big names in this scene that have lost continuously before they started winning. Here we go.
On the back foot. Oh, left hook is down. Left hook sends Diaz to the canvas. Big time shot there from Jake Paul. And that is what you call a turning point, folks.
It's so crazy sometimes to hear myself back on commentary. I don't even remember saying any of that. As I sit here right now, it's hard for me to believe that I called a Nate Diaz fight. And you can see it on my face. Like, I'll have that forever, man. And it's fucking wild to watch it all back.
Jake Paul. I think he's average. I think, for the stage he's at, I think he's the best out of the YouTube boxers. But again, in the world of professional boxing, once you start mixing skill alongside that and all other things, I think he's very average.
I don't disagree with what Tommy's trying to say here. Like, again, just calling him average is simplifying it. If he's putting Salt Poppy in the quote-unquote average category, then Jake has to be a couple of steps up from that. Again, if we're talking influencer boxing, Jake and KSI are going to be on that top level. Jake could kind of fit that, like, very new, very green, average level guy that would beat up a bunch of journeymen, and that would include some of the guys on Tommy's record that he's beat, the guys with 100 losses. Oh my
God. Mexican fella. Pineda.
And he is actually listed as a professional boxer too.
Oh, I'm sure he is. He'd have to retire him from what I've seen of him. No good at all.
Not Pineda retire, man. No. Pineda will never retire. He's a Misfits legend at this point. Listen, you guys know that I was not a big fan of, on the surface of it, the idea of tag team boxing. But man, the pop he got for that. Obviously, the return fight with B-Dave. They've made his gimmick into something special. They have. Fair play to Misfits. They've created a bit of a star here with Pineda. He gets a pop every time he walks out. The people are behind him. He's got a following now. And to be honest, they changed this kid's life. Like, he would not have been in any remote position to do anything like this had he just continued to box as a professional in Mexico. So, yeah, he probably is on the retire list for boxing skill as a professional for sure. But in the influencer scene, he definitely has a home, and I wouldn't say he's at that level. Influencer boxing, I'd say he's average.
We need to let the fist fly.
Here we go.
And the brain work.
A polarizing figure.
Logan Paul's 0-4. I don't even think he's got started yet. Yeah, I can't say retire because he's not even got started yet. He's not even won a fight yet. But I think he must have to be poor then, isn't he? Must be.
Okay.
Really tired. The longer the round goes on, his energy levels.
One of the best shots in influencer boxing right there. Like, You have to give Logan credit for this shot. It was one of the most like perfectly set up, perfectly executed shots in influencer boxing. Obviously, the things that followed it were just brain dead. But level change, boom. Beautiful shot. I'll always consider this one of the best shots I've ever seen in influencer boxing. Just because of the setup, the execution of it. The one time you see Logan let go with bending his knees, level change, uppercut, beautiful shot. Tommy's logic once again here is baffling to me. What does it mean when he says that he's never got started so he can't retire? No, he has got started, he just hasn't won. He's fought multiple times, he has never won one. So the logic that Tommy uses for Logan not getting started to be able to be in poor, but also to put everybody else that's actually got wins and retire, it just makes no sense to me.
JJ is really going to work early and just wanted to maul this guy. He hit him with a holy shot.
Retire. And I will retire him on the 14th. Don't worry about that.
You can't put KSI in retire. What are we talking about? The guy's never lost. Obviously, the level of opponent Tommy's not going to respect, and I understand that, but you can't put him at, he hasn't lost yet, so you can't retire. I mean, unless it was like a Habib situation, which again is a crazy comparison, but retire is silly. That's goofy. He's at least in the average range.
Basically, what I think of KSI's performance and all of his opponents, it's been absolutely shocking. And the reason why I say this is because Jake Paul, at least he's, put the time in, he's dedicated himself to boxing, he's got the right trainers, the right people around him, and he's taking somewhat proper fights, isn't he? He gets proper fighters. This man, he's just fighting a load of YouTubers. Like, he's just fighting within YouTube. Whereas Jake Paul, he's gonna mix it with some actual fighters. But this man here, I mean, his last opponent, what was his last opponent? Joe Fournier. Well,
a solid right hand there from JJ.
Molly could do a better showing, 100%. Didn't want to throw a shot, didn't want to be in there, and that was that. And then the rest of the opponents, well, they can't fight either, so...
You said Molly would have a better showing than Joe Fournier? Jesus, Tommy, come on. Come on, I know Joe was a freaking white-collar wannabe, but come on. That's crazy.
You're going to have a funny shock, because at least Jake Paul, was in there with some fighters. This man's coming straight from La La Land, straight into the proper fight. So he's going to have a big, big shock.
There's been a lot of disagreement in this community over JJ's level of opponent versus Jake's, and Jake with the old man arc, and KSI with the YouTuber arc, and then obviously Joe's inflated record and ego. But it's not comparable, in my opinion, to say that JJ has fought the level of opponents that Jake has. So I understand what Tommy is saying there. I get that. Now KSI has to make that big leap. He has to make that big step up. So all his opponents, yeah, it doesn't look good as a resume to then jump to Tommy Fury. But at the end of the day, KSI is challenging himself for a reason, to prove that all those opponents aren't the reason he says he's the best. It's because he thinks and he's going to try to show that he legitimately is. So we'll see.
Tommy Fury's in the building, ladies and gentlemen.
Ah, okay. Tommy's going to rank himself. I wonder where he'll go.
I'll stop you.
Do it.
And you'll have no jaw left, I guarantee.
The GOAT. No, far away from the GOAT. Far away from the GOAT. I'd say I was decent. I'm just getting going, just getting started. I've got a lot more experience to gain.
Okay. Not bad. I actually liked it. Again, I don't think that this list has any sort of congruency or idea as to what the fuck it's actually doing. I think maybe DAZN made the list after they asked Tommy a bunch of questions, but I do think Tommy is being a little more humble than I thought he'd be here.
Yeah. And that's it. I'm dedicated. I'm willing to put in the work. But above this, all this YouTube boxing, I am the GOAT of that. There's nobody from YouTube boxing that can ever beat me. So, yeah, I would, in YouTube boxing, rank myself as the GOAT.
All right, well, that's actually fair. I can't, yeah, he was humble enough to say he was in the decent category in boxing, which, again, I don't even know if that's fair. I think he'd probably be more around that average level based off the fact that him and Jake wasn't some massive blowout or some sort of massive discrepancy that we all thought it would be. Yeah, Tommy won the fight, and he did win it going away, but it wasn't like Jake looked like he didn't belong in there. But you do have to give him credit. They brought him in. He's been like, all right, y'all want to fight me? I'm going to show you what this real pro boxing is about. He's done that with Jake. He's looking to do that with KSI, so we'll see. But as of right now, Tommy is on the top of the list. Whether you want to call him the GOAT or Let's Go Champ, whatever the rankings name is, Tommy's at the top. And as far as who can bring him off that pedestal, it is one man, 3 letters, KSI. That is Tommy Fury's tier list ranking. A bunch of it was kind of pure He doesn't see any reason for any of the YouTubers fighting. Obviously not plugged into the influencer scene, but as far as where he put the people that he knows, it wasn't actually too bad outside of KSI being a retire, which is him silly. But he says he's gonna retire him. We'll find out. What you guys think of Tommy Fury's tier list? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you guys like the video, and also be here Saturday, 10 a.m. PST, that's 1 p.m. EST, and that's 6 p.m. BST. My timing could be off, but much like clockwork, we keep going at the W.A.D.E concept. I'll see you guys Saturday, and what happens on October 14th? Tommy Fury, KSI. Will he retire him, or will KSI shock everyone? Don't have those answers, but I guess we'll find out.